A tough weekend at the Greenbrier comes to an end for South Carolina after a 79-77 loss to Northwestern here on Sunday night. The Gamecocks fought back from a 12-point deficit in the final minutes using a 13-1 run to tie the game, but ultimately they fell short on a last-second go-ahead shot with 0.8 seconds left to go, a layup that gave the Wildcats a win to leave here 1-1. And as for the Gamecocks, 0-2 on the weekend after losses to both Butler and Northwestern. And look, it was just not a good weekend for South Carolina in that aspect. Where the game's competitive, yes. Did South Carolina. The one thing that Lamont Paris took away from this weekend was that his team showed a lot of fight, which is something I think you can definitely build upon in these close games that will hopefully become wins later on in more meaningful games down the stretch. But the fact of the matter is South Carolina went 0-2 this weekend, and that's going to be the story of the weekend here, is that they couldn't close out this game against Northwestern when they had a chance. And overall, it was it looked like a really rough game for South Carolina, who just could not shoot and make shots consistently. There were a lot of times on Sunday where they got the game down to a one possession, and it's second half, and they're inching closer to taking the lead. But this is all before they eventually did get the game tied, by the way. But they continuously got the game close, but just couldn't make that shot. Tough day shooting from the field, went 10 of 34 from three-point range. Don't let the 10 three-pointers fool you. I mean, a lot of those did not come until the late minutes of this game when they were able to fight their way back into this one. But I mean, that's one thing South Carolina's going to have to figure out here is, okay, how do we get these shots to go in consistently? Because then you're not losing games like this to Butler and Northwestern. These games are a lot differently. Now, the other thing in this game was that South Carolina was a lot more physical. Did pretty well from a rebounding standpoint. Won that battle 31-26, which is something that Paris and the players definitely harped on Friday, was that they needed to be more physical after a rough performance against Butler from a rebound standpoint, and they certainly were. And so those are probably the main takeaways. Defensively, got to be better as well, I think. Elijah Strong played really well in this game offensively, led the way with 16 points on 5 of 8 shooting, went 3 of 5 from 3. South Carolina's not in this game if it's not for him with some of the shots that he and Michi were hitting down the stretch. But the fact of the matter is, he was in there on that final defensive possession and gave up the go-ahead layup to seal the deal. So there's a little bit of give and take there, but ultimately South Carolina still has a lot of work to do to get to where they want to go. So Gamecocks will have a few days off and then being back in action on Friday afternoon. Black Friday taking on Charleston Southern the day after Thanksgiving. Tip-off at 4 p.m. on SEC Network Plus at Colonial Life Arena. So once again, South Carolina suffering a 79-77 loss here at the Greenbrier in the Greenbrier Tip-Off to Northwestern on Sunday. So thanks a lot for following along with my coverage all weekend here from West Virginia. Appreciate it as always. For GamecockCentral.com, I'm Jack Veltri.